I mean, phase one.
Yeah, it's close.
Especially the homes and the town.
That's a little trigger, but that's gotta be spent more. Cause if you don't really see.
But they're not starting to build for anything, you know, are they?
Oh, yeah.
Are they?
Yeah, I'm gonna give an update in the beginning of the meeting.
I'm curious about that, because economically, I'm wondering about how many years we're gonna be talking about the completion of Island Village. I have my own number in mind.
Another 3 to 4 years.
No, I think it's longer than that. You think they'll get it done in 3-4 years?
We've got the money invested, so they gotta get the houses built and spin them. So we're paying on dues and everything.
I understand that, but they're gonna have enough customers to sell all that, all the way to section 5?
There's only 4.
Oh, I thought they were 5.
No, there's talk that they're gonna provide.
But do you think they're gonna blast through section 2?
Yeah, like I said, I'll give it up.
Okay, yeah,
This is 339.
in section 2?
It's all of them, right? That's the last piece?
No.
Lauren?
What?
Island Village, is this the last piece?
No, there's
No.
2 more sections.
No,
Two more.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
4 is small.
Oh, is that right?
3 is small, 4 is big. 3 is just a little bubble.
Well, either way.
How many are in?
They don't have,
This is
they
an
don't have
odd conversation.
They don't
Oh, my Island Village.
3, 4.
They don't have.
like 200,
Island Village
probably 2.
How many
So
homes are in
phase
each?
2A is 87, 2B is 252. Phase 3 is just single family homes and passive parks, and phase 4 is another like 200-ish.
Need a bridge for any of those?
Yes, the need a bridge to 4.
So
They had a
2 gets you
bridge
2 to
from
3.
To 1, and they had a bridge from 1 to 2, but it was more like a con span. And then 3, it doesn't need a bridge, but they need a bridge to 4.
Might be right.
I still think in 10 years. That's my number.
The homes will sell through.
What?
The homes are gonna sell through. I mean, I think the next 3 years will sell through. 330.
World gets crazy.
You don't know?
Yeah.
Celebration still.
What?
Celebration still got a.
I was telling Jim, I have a couple of young partners from my firm, before I retired, who want to buy some kind of home here as a vacation home. Do what I did and not be on top of the ocean where you have water risk, and they like Disney. So, you know,
I didn't know, cause I'm.
I have
I was
those
showing, go here and if you're that and you did. I only thought the small.
real estate business.
Touchscreen.
Get the right help.
So anyway, right there has a feature started. Yeah.
Andrew said he wasn't gonna be here.
Andrew is in London because I texted him and he texted me back.
Copy of the budget. And also-
There's such a mental dilemma.
Oh,
Do you know how much paper Crow I shredded this weekend? Shredded stuff. It was fun. I'm good. I got it online. I prefer electronic.
Shred it, no one gonna read it if you put it.
Oh, I had all the board.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, shredded stuff.
No, did Frank indicate if he was coming or not, or?
Not.
No.
And Jared's not coming. He had a last minute work thing.
wonder if Frank went to the wrong location. Guy used to drive it out to Islandville.
If he did, he's at an ARC meeting.
Be here in a half hour.
Yeah. All right, I think we can start the meeting. We have a quorum. I'll call the meeting to order. The meeting was properly noticed. So we can move forward with a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 19th.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Yes, aye.
Okay. No owners, no owners, even Gary. Okay, May financial review. I just want to give a quick update. As you know, in this year's budget, we included phase 2A of Five Village as far as the homes, but that was when we were still looking at 1 year's worth of dues for the capital fee. Things started slowly, but in the last 2 to 3 weeks, phase 2A has 49 homes and 38 townhomes, which the 38, 4 of those are now townhome bundles. So that takes 4 out of the equation, but in the last 2 to 3 weeks, they already have 21 homes under contract. They're building all the, they're not gonna wait to have a contract to build all of them, so, and they're also advertising on Realtor.com, and all those other places for various homes now in phase 2. So it's moving along very quickly now, and because I think they've had interest, they're gonna try and get phase 2A done as soon as possible. Are we still on track, you think, for mid-July for them to do
Per
that?
my conversation with Tanner last week, yes. July 15th was he was aiming for.
That makes sense because they're also doing a lot of work in phase 2B as far as all the infrastructure and everything else. So in order to get that going, they're gonna have to get those plats.
Yeah, so that'll add the 252 doors that we had originally anticipated starting at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. And the additional amenities.
Yeah, which is looking, that's one of the drivers of your 26 potential budget too, because they're looking at passing that over middle of next year.
Another clubhouse.
So that's,
So if they get, sorry, Jim, if they get the lots you're talking about, is that all the plats then
For phase 2,
for phase 2 that we budget?
Yes.
You pull up?
yes,
How many additional is that are not in now?
252.
So it's 339 or something, and it's 252 is still out.
Yeah, there were 87 or some odd pulled for 2A.
Yeah.
And 252 that are still outstanding that we had originally included.
But they're not paying you.
But they're not paying us. So hopefully, starting July 15th, they will start paying.
excellent. Okay, May financial review. Ray, I'd like to thank you, first of all, for all your quick responses to people's questions and comments. It's been very helpful getting a lot of this done. And your most recent one on the capital fund, because I was off the exact same amount that you are. So I've got to look at it a little bit more, better understand some of your reconciliation items, but I think we're getting a lot closer to reconciling funds and all that. So, they had stopped, there's 2 pieces of going to the capital fund. There's the capital fee, the sale of homes, and then we have an allocation amount that's supposed to come from the operating program. That was stopped months ago, and now it's a $400-something thousand balance at the
I
operating.
noticed that receivable.
Yeah, so.
And we did transfer in May $300,000 from operating to capital, but we also owe operating money from capital. So it was like a pass through. Recently, last week, we also transferred an additional 75K, which is the one that I mentioned in the email. And I highlighted that one because that happened in June, so you're not gonna see it here. But we've been since last one, we've been starting to transfer money. But we do need to be careful with those transfers to make sure that we have enough cash in the operating account to keep the day-to-day running. Yeah.
We doing that because we're short on cash for operating.
The operating fund has been, because receivables were up to 1.5 million.
Yeah, we started the year.
I mean, homeowner receivables,
I'm sorry?
homeowner receivables,
Yes, and including the apartment,
including what?
the apartment rent fees.
Oh, we're not getting paid on all those?
We're not. So, well, I don't know if we want to jump there.
No, but
This is liquidity. Let's.
Yeah.
talk.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so we have 3 main buildings. In the apartment side, we have that they almost like close to $130,000.
Windsor paid.
Windsor paid, yes.
Okay.
And then we have Astoria and Delamar. They both owe a little bit over $200,000.
how much, say it again, 200,000 each?
How much-
Astoria,
Delamar.
It's gonna
Oh, in
be
Delamar.
Between the,
which is the one right at the top of Waterside there. Okay,
between the 2 of them, it's gonna be $675,000.
that's serious.
Yeah.
It's on the board agenda to revoke access to the amenity centers. They've already been sent NOLAs. They're pushed to the attorneys for the collections process. When we did this in 2022, the letter from the attorney after the board vote to revoke access is what triggered them paying us. So hopefully it does that again.
But the underlying question that I have is it because that they have the liquidity in their own rental business over there in those two units, or they're just choosing not to pay?
They're just testing the limits.
Yeah.
I see.
They can't,
Certainly Gallimard.
Windsor also,
I have no idea about that.
Yeah.
You know.
who's got all kinds of money. I mean, they're building all over the country. It's private equity out of California.
They push the boundaries almost every year when they actually pay their rent fees, because they pay their Canoa dues right on time. The big check is the apartment rent fee.
I thought that revoking access was gonna get done at the last meeting, last week.
No, it's happening at the board meeting, not the workshop.
The sooner we can do that and get notes out to these people that,
Yep.
and the residents, so the residents are.
That's on the agenda as well. Then we have to send them a letter saying, you know, effective this date, your access will be revoked unless you pay us what your
Right.
past due.
We could solve our liquidity problem if we just get our receivables collected. So
Right.
all day long, we can fool around with moving money around, but we just gotta get.
Ultimately, we got to, you know,
Collect.
I will say the front counter team has been contacting people as well.
That's piecemeal. We need to use a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. I appreciate that. I'm glad they're doing it, but we need a
Oh, no, there's, yeah,
systematic thing in place that will motivate people.
it'll be a monthly occurrence on the board packet. So anybody who's newly past due over 90 days, then it will be on the board packet, just like the covenants items for access revocation.
is it?
Why can't it just,
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
why can't that just be automatic once we say this is the way it works, just like a.
720 requires a board vote.
For revoking access, even though we might have a.
Yes, even though it's in your bylaws and there's a resolution about it, it still requires a board.
So you'll just have a list in there just like late.
Yeah,
And can you do that somewhat in, I don't know what your timeline looks like, but somewhat in advance of that point, so we can try to encourage them to get paid beforehand? Lead time.
you want me to let them know that we're gonna revoke their access once the board votes?
Yeah, but that should be, if they're gonna have their stuff revoked in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think you should be doing it now, and then there's a 2-3 week lead time telling them, hey, you forgot to pay, or whatever it might be, a nice little letter.
That's what the
Effective this date.
front counter ladies have been doing. And then it'll go to the board vote, but then I still have to send the official letter saying the board has voted to revoke your access if you don't pay.
On this date.
Yeah.
Then can that date, my point is not that big, but can that date be 3 weeks before it's, that notification go 3 weeks before it actually is
It'll
gonna
wait
happen?
till the board votes. I can't send that notification until the board votes.
Okay,
I
but
can send, no, so the front counter ladies can reach out and say, the board's gonna vote on this day to revoke your access. You know, and then if you don't pay, but then the board's gonna vote, and then I have to send them another letter saying, the board voted to revoke your access effective this date.
trying to save the front counter people some work. If we could do it on 3 days lead time and say in 3 weeks, you're gonna be revoked, and the board has voted to do that. So the board could vote in advance saying, if it's not paid by this date, it's gonna be revoked. We just notify them of that. So we've got some lead time on it.
That's what we're doing.
Okay. Took a long time to get there.
The board votes, and then I send them a letter and say, in this time,
But my question is,
I can't send the letter before the board votes.
I understand that, but I want the board to vote 3 weeks before it actually would be revoked.
In other words, if
They
I,
can't vote on it until it's 90 days past due.
Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know. Who's on.
There's a timing, there's
I see.
statutory timing that needs to.
Yeah, I see what he's saying, but yeah,
Yeah.
no.
well, what's the problem? Why we have so many?
Threats are already taking place
Yeah.
and there's still, nothing will happen until we actually shut it down. And then,
Is it, so what's the reason why so many homeowners are not paying? Do you have any idea what the problem is? Just don't feel like paying, 'cause they try to get away with it? What's the what is it, economic where someone works for a company that lost their job?
It's not,
Or is it just, I don't feel like paying it?
and
Yeah.
when it comes to the delinquencies, it can be, it differs from when I see them, like, there's a fair portion that just got the number wrong or is 1 quarter behind. So there's a fair percentage of those. But again, those are small dollar amounts that they're, and maybe 1 quarter's worth of assessments. Sometimes it's less, like they've been on auto pay under a flat rate that's wrong because it was a flat rate of 2 years ago. Sometimes we see those. And then others are just blatant, they're just not. And they can be racking it up and then they're in collections and they're still not. And it's just building and building and building. So large.
So those will only get done when they sell their house, if they sell a house or condo.
Mhm.
But it definitely affects, obviously, paying the bills to keep the amenities at a certain level of,
To Ray's point, the biggest difference is with those rec fees
got it.
on the boulevard. I mean, we're talking, every time we talk about one, we're talking hundreds of thousands. With liquidity though, last week's was referring to capital liquidity, not operating or reserve. Because that was a $75,000 check needed to be written out of capital and we did not have the funds at capital.
Out of the,
What do you mean? I'm sorry, I don't understand that. We didn't have what funds in capital?
Liquid cash to be able,
Liquid cash.
Yeah.
oh, because it's laddered in investments.
yes,
Yes.
Got it. All right. And you didn't count on some level of the receivables we have here that would have put more money back into capital to do what you had to do.
Yeah, if we are able to clear our receivables, we're gonna have that flexibility for us to fund again the capital fund and we shouldn't have these issues. But it's like everything is going hand by hand.
So if you get those apartment rent fees, we'll be in better shape, even though to me, it's unacceptable, the level of residences that aren't paying their bills either, you know?
Yeah, that's why we, a few meetings ago, started this whole process to start putting pressure on the residents to start paying.
So Lauren, if we send the letter in 90 days, how quickly can you revoke them?
30.
It's another 30 days then? So that letter will say 30 days from now, you're going to vote, okay? So you don't.
Okay, could we go through the May financials?
Oh, this is just budget. Okay.
I think this is probably more for some of these general events incomes seem to be much lower than we thought they were going to be. Is anyone looking at these events to say, should we still do them?
Yeah, I mean, the event budget and Parks and Rec budget as proposed in 2026, you're seeing reductions in the expenditures on both. You had, so for the 2025 budget as proposed, the budget was put together by one department head, then it was taken over by another department head, and now you have a third department head over it. So I think overall over the year for expenditures, you'll see less expenditures than is budgeted for. But the revenue is not going to match what I'm not going to say fully, it's not going to fully match what was budgeted because that was budgeted by a different person. They are working to get sponsorships improved. This is they're just now starting to put on events and run events that they have started the planning and processing from this group forward. So it should be a little more in line with the budget.
Well, the other thing is again, this whole issue of, Lexington downtown businesses versus Celebration Point, Island Village, and other businesses on Celebration Boulevard. A lot of those, I think, would be willing, like Celebration Brewery, to contribute to some of these events.
Yeah, and the team has reached out to them and they are partnering with not just Lexington properties, but with other ones.
they have a big new push on sponsorship and they have a lot on the pipeline that they know they can tap.
Yeah.
When they need it, but right now they.
Oh, good. So always a good solution, especially for new businesses wanting promotion. Okay, you guys can break in any time you want here. I mean, the bottom line is maintenance. There's nothing else that was really out of whack, other than pools.
Pool, I was gonna say pools.
Yeah, pools.
And then, yeah, and then the maintenance contract, that should be fixed and it shows we're 12,000 over year to date in the maintenance contract.
Landscaping. In landscaping,
Landscaping, yeah.
yeah, I'll look at it. I noticed it.
It should be matching the contract, I would think.
It should be, yeah. Okay.
The maintenance is even worse than it looks because you've got $36,383 from prior years of credit in there. So when you really look at maintenance, we're over $72,000 or so. On a year-to-date budget of $118,000 or $72,000 over. That's like 70% over budget.
We've,
Controls, I mean,
yeah, we talked about this and we had a meeting with Christian and Walter about it.
Anything broke or whatever, or fix them in a different fashion. Haven't made for the year. Talking about being over $40 million for the year.
Yeah, and I mean, I can try to start like holding on invoices and just waiting until the next 30 days, like prolonging the payment, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
No, it's just timing.
Yeah.
Somehow. I don't know, it's a conundrum, but I think we got to analyze it and understand why it's so high. Are things breaking that much? Do we really have that much maintenance? Are we doing things that we are proactive that we really don't need to do that we can wait on? I mean, what are the alternatives?
We were just having that conversation with Christian team. It's about a specific project here even.
Yeah.
We gotta get creative
Yeah.
because we can't afford, with all the other cost pressures we're gonna have, we can't afford overspending that area by a couple $100,000.
You remind me, what is the limit that has to go to the board as far as?
5,000.
5,000. So even though we spent, 17,000 on maintenance at Spring Park, none of that had to be approved.
It's per transaction. It's 5,000 per transaction.
Right. I know, but 17,000 in a month, 18,000 in a month at Lakeside, just seems like hard to believe that something wasn't over 5,000. Just saying.
Well, the fields are over 15,000 year to date in repair and maintenance. I'm not sure what repair and maintenance would be doing out at the fields.
At the soccer fields, there were some lights that needed to be repaired.
There's lights, a lot of issues with toilets, door handles has been a huge item. And when we talk lights, it's not always the stadium lights, it's all of the lights leading from the second you cross into the gate of Lot D, all of that, all of the lights down the way there.
We don't have like cameras on all gates, right? At pools or any of that stuff.
One of the things that Dom's working on.
Because, yeah, that happened at the Allen Village pool. Somebody smashed through one of the gates and had to get that fixed. And I think that's why the costs were a little higher there this month. It's just without cameras to see who does these things, it's kind of a problem.
And there
Well,
was
and even if there is a camera, sometimes it's hard to tell who it is and match it up with it. I mean, if they're not striking a key card, it's hard to match it up with who it is specifically.
one of the big changes too, when we brought Christian and Walter into their roles, was holding vendors accountable. And so you'll see in some of those main numbers that those big amounts of 17,000 a year were withholding payment from from projects that had taken place months prior until we were satisfied with the work. So some of that is payments that that was not work completed in May. It was work completed months prior, just finally reconciled.
Yeah. So at least we see these numbers now and hopefully we'll pay more attention to it. Trying to keep it down for at least a few months here.
Yeah, the numbers I was quoting was for year to date. Not period. The shop maintenance line, is that inventory?
There's been a big press on saying
Yes.
that's not going to continue.
You must have a nice looking workshop with line inventory with 22,000 of budget, or we budgeted terrible for it.
Keeping a steady inventory previously.
Every time they
Too much
needed,
in inventory?
it was that every time you needed screws, they'd drive to go buy a box of screws. So then it was inefficient use of time and making everything a credit card purchase. And now it's, on more bulk programs. So they have inventory come in, put a whole lot of screws there, and then that's inventory, but we're paying for it more upfront.
Who monitors that beyond Christian?
Walter.
Yeah, and it's also under a fulfillment contract being monitored. And so we get a report of the use. With the launch of TELS, our maintenance log program, we're also seeing what projects are being done and big itemization of who's doing it, how much time was on it. If they had to go to the shop or to the store to buy something that wasn't already at the shop, it's assigned to that as a specific task too, because we're really trying to look at not making that shop line so high. And because all expenses at the shop are related to the parks, but trying to itemize those out better in parks.
You guys need to solve. I had a question on, just going backwards, Mayberry. Is that gonna be about an $80,000 incremental expense this year for the budget? Say 90, okay. And we're not taking that on capital, we're gonna take it in the operating income and all that got this.
It's on the board agenda to approve that,
Mayberry's what?
the security card.
And that's just for the pool, that's for the summer pool. There was some savings in not doing the the monitors through us. I think that was about 20
Yeah, there
something
were 4
thousand.
part-time positions that were originally budgeted for that we're not hiring, and now some
So
of
then
them
that's more like 70,000 then?
probably.
It was
Yeah.
outlined in that approved, or when it reached the board. So let's see, yeah.
I did look at the resales and the year-to-date number at 502,000. Forget about seasonality, but if it was just straight line for the rest of the year, it'd come in at about 1.5 million. And I know there's a little bit of 2024 in there,
Yeah,
so it's not material. So
Well, yeah, year to date, through May, just so you know, there's 140 homes that have sold at a price of $1,116 million. We got the capital fee of 587,000 versus we had 102. The average sale price is 828,000.
yeah, it's right about on the numbers we said.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the P&L showing 502,000 collected so far, so some of that's still in transition. We haven't
Yes.
looked at it yet. But if you take that times 3, that's $1.5 million. That's where that 0.5% should have put us, up around $1.5 million. Between that and the 500,000 we take from operating, that's about $2 million. We're on track, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, 119,000.
Yeah, I would like to hear. So I thought that looked pretty good.
Circling back to the Mayberry pool summer, the program cost for the summer was 82,000. Suggested to fund 37,000 from operating and 44,000 from capital. So the 37,000 is what we budgeted for if we hired pool monitors that we didn't do. So really it's off. I guess what wasn't budgeted this year by adding the summer program was about 45,000. We'll be seeing some changes as adding some more.
Some of that in the security numbers in May.
Yeah.
Security was
We paid a May invoice, yeah. For the new security guards for Mayberry. Yes.
Sorry, yes. So we started that program in May, but it was,
It was paid out of operating.
Yeah.
Because we had a discussion here, that we wanted to absorb the hit on operating instead of just having capital pay for all this.
and you won't see that change in the park and rec compensation until next month, as we funded those summer pool programs for not in May, for starting in June.
Well, I think next year, if we do the same thing, I wouldn't hire everybody until Osceola County schools are done. Because we started them earlier than that.
We started them earlier just so we could get the rollout.
Training and things like that. I've met them all.
Yeah, it was necessary.
Fit the center and things like
Yeah.
that. They're all really good people, I will say, doing a good job. It's just that I think we should be able, with what we're paying them, we as an organization should learn some things
I think,
as to how to do better security, how to do better checking on people, things like that, than, what maybe done in the past.
When you had the vandalism in Island Village Pool, was it, I assume, in the middle of the night or something?
So, don't know,
we
don't.
contemplated that. It was, we still wanted to start 2 weeks before school ended because we know there's a lot of parties while school's out or graduation parties that take place. We wanted that security detail there 2 weeks prior.
Yeah,
And it was also, we saw about a 2 weeks on top of that, which was just so we could roll it out without any bumps and
right,
everything.
right.
But I think you're right. We can at least adjust it
At
next.
least to just the 2 weeks, because they'll have experience of everything that's in celebration.
Question, how many open positions do we have right now?
Maintenance techs, 2 inspectors. I think that's it. So 2 positions at the CJC level and 2 positions in the CROA side.
Two, and 2 of those are pre-screening to be filled right now.
We talked last time, there was 4 at that time. Are those the same 4 or a different 4?
One,
Same maintenance? No. Yes and no.
it
There's
was
been a
3 maintenance
rotation.
techs and 1 inspector. With July 1st, we have 1 more inspector head count.
And the IT person.
Not-
Oh, it was the IT, it was the IT. So this, we just filled the IT position. And we refilled the marketing position. The only ones that have been standing open have been maintenance
As
techs.
inspectors.
And one of the inspectors,
One
wants
inspector.
one that's coming on in Q3.
What's our turnover year to date?
Get back to you. I don't know.
Just do a percentage calculation based on the 44 we have or whatever
Yeah.
we returned over this year so far. I think we should look at that quarterly or something. Be a good number to look at. That trend costs a lot of money.
Do we lose a lot of people?
We've lost quite a few people to growth opportunities for them. And you see it in our entry level positions a lot. The inspectors, they make $19 an hour. So they're getting trained and then learning some, and then they have some growth opportunity elsewhere. We saw that with our comms manager loss. The first marketing specialist we hired, she went back to her prior job because she could work from home and it was paying a little bit more. So various reasons.
Our inspector positions are opening up because of internal promotions though.
No.
Which is good for the inspector positions as far as retention.
Were you able to answer Jared on his questions?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I was curious. I'm not familiar with a lot of these licenses that you referred to, but the number of music software
I
license.
found that interesting. 2 different companies, you have to cover the music you might play.
Yeah,
Why do we have that?
you have to have a license to play copyrighted music.
Oh.
And there's different entities that represent different artists. And you could have one song where it's 2 people collaborating, both represented by a different entity.
And where's this music played we're talking?
At our events,
Every time you have a DJ
every
in,
time you have a DJ, every time you have a concert, every time we turn on the radio at an event.
Okay.
Just have Sirius or Pandora or something like that, call it a day.
But you
No,
gotta
you
pay.
still-
you still have to pay
the
that.
license to do that.
So you-
But I don't pay, well, I just pay a fee
But
to,
you're not playing it in public.
okay.
because we're benefiting from the music being played, so they require royalties.
God,
You're paying the writer of the song and you're paying.
no, that part I understand and
And the
realize,
artist. That's the 2 organizations.
because it's
Yeah,
own environment.
Yes.
Got it, as opposed to your backyard.
The other discussion,
Radio
CJC and
This one.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we should check.
No, I think we might as well do it now. So, yeah,
Go ahead.
where are we on CJ, the Canoa, CJC.
We are at like a 9, so Canoa is finishing their proposal for the cost sharing agreement. It's looking like we're sitting around 300,000 for their contribution to CJC. They want some added protections in with if the marketing position is filled at a lower salary, then they're funding it as, or what they think it should be funded as. They want that money returned to them, returned to the Canoa budget instead of returned to the CJC budget.
If we pay more, do they pay more?
Was not in there.
We told them we'd give them a position, not a salary.
Correct.
So that should go back to the home base CJC.
So, yeah, there've been emails about it today. Basically, the gist of it is right now it's 300,000 with a capped increase annually based on CPI like we've been doing. And then no additional positions can be added into the CJC budget unless the CJC board unanimously approves it.
The CJC board or Canoa?
CJC board,
Right, so you gotta get the two guys.
which by default requires approval of a majority of the Canoa board.
Well, my personal opinion, I think we should cut the umbilical cord and end CJC. And we run Crowwood, they do their thing, and we end it.
I think Canoa should then. Personally, stated that at one meeting, but I guess I didn't have any people figuring it. But Canoa has proven to be, because the Disney.
I don't think
Disney
we-
people came off the board.
Right.
CJC board who they had that control and now they don't. Because they're
Right.
no longer on it.
They had the finger on the scale of justice, as I referred to.
Canoa, I can tell you, businesses in Island Village and the people I've talked to in Celebration Point, they get nothing from Canoa, absolutely nothing. They're all paying him.
So I think that we should tell them to go their own way and do whatever they think they need for themselves.
Businesses start going away
Well, maybe we could have a quiet campaign to stop having all the business downtown stop join.
We're talking about changing the charter, changing the bylaws.
It's worth it though, don't you
Well,
think, Mike?
one thing-
Well, you could tackle it, but unwinding that would be,
We
Most
also-
storefronts aren't
Canoa.
Canoa members. The owner of the shopping plaza is the one Canoa member.
Right.
And so that's the whole, if it benefits them or not.
Right, none of the businesses who are tenants don't have to join.
No,
They-
they are not the member. So Unicorp that owns Celebration Point is the member. All of the storefronts in there are not the member.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Lexington is the member for all the downtown merchants.
So like in Ben-Hur is Celebration Place and Crossman is Water Tower. And then the Colburn or their new owner is Island Village.
So last meeting, we talked about communicating this potential change and its impact, along with a few other things, the sandwich approach, right? That's what we talked about. I think it's time to do that quickly. Don't you?
It needs to come from the board.
I know, but you should initiate that, shouldn't you?
We have a liaison. Yes, we can bring it to the board.
Hey, liaison,
I'm liaising.
okay, lazy faster. Laissez, no.
Oh, this topic comes up at the board. It's not like the board's not aware.
No, I know, but it's time to publish this to the
It's kind of
community.
To the community.
To what, that's the only pressure we could put on Canoa, and that's not even that much, but at least it'll maybe soften a little bit of their attack. We're defenseless here,
Right.
so.
And they know it.
The only weapon we have is
Yeah.
community pressure. And what that is going to be as far as a cost increase to the residents versus the transfer from.
I think once we get to tonight's budget proposal and that increase, it's going to be very well known what's going on. And
I think you could just put two items out there, the CJC increase and the, from Canoa at $300,000 and the reserving, potential reserve increase of $400,000.
It's 5.1% impact for the CJC agreement and 4.64% for the reserve fund.
So you'd call it roughly 10%
Yeah.
of our potential increase next year comes from these two items. That'd be a real easy communication, and you're gonna put some explanation.
I assume some of that's because the age of the community and things need to be paid.
That's the reserve one. And then the canola one is
This knucklehead conversation.
So
being assholes.
there's a-
They're being assholes.
There's a summary document that was sent out with the Excel spreadsheet this year that even has a pie chart of where your money's going.
Oh, yeah, Andrew put that together, didn't he?
No, I did.
Okay. It's out someplace.
Yeah.
That gets too complex, though. I think we just want to focus on these two items.
It's right there under that bullet point of what those
Yeah.
big expenditures are.
Right underneath.
We're all planning to, we'd read it, but I don't think 85% of the residents.
Pulled
Yeah.
out and simplified and focused on canola.
What?
They probably don't even know.
It's, I mean, it's.
No, my own wife didn't.
So,
She asked me on the alphabet.
Nobody will know, but what we gotta say is,
Yes.
merchants, not merchants, the businesses,
The landowners, the landowners.
landowners have been making a contribution of X. Per our documents and everything else, their contribution going forward is gonna be $300,000 less. That's gonna affect our increase for next year of the homeowner dues by 5.1% or whatever it is. And oh, by the way, we got an old community and reserve looks like it's probably gonna contribute 4%. We gotta tell them where it's coming from, and it's gonna move from the landowners to the residents. That's a part that could potentially agitate them. I don't know where that goes.
But we'll take it out as homeowners on the wrong person. If you stop eating at the tavern or Columbia, they're only a tenant. The landowner is the person beneath them, right?
It's Lexington.
Right, it's Lexington or somebody else, right?
We gotta publicize it, otherwise
Of course, no, I'm just saying.
I don't want the finance committee to take the blame for an 18% increase.
No.
Or 20%.
We're the messenger, not the cause.
Sooner or later, we're gonna have to communicate it. Sooner is better.
Yes.
Because we make optimum pressure out of it, whatever that might be. If we do it in August and they've got the agreement signed between Canoa and
Is there any possibility to reach out to some, is the hospital a major member?
Yeah.
So where do they sit in this?
they don't even know.
they don't want to be.
Can we, is there somebody who's to enlighten them? They don't care?
That's so simple for them.
Can we get them to care?
Think so.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Can't get them to vote in their board election.
even the apartments don't know, but the reality is their numbers are gonna get better, what they have to pay and pay less. So they like it. They don't even know about it till somebody tells them, but they're, and they probably won't even realize it.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. They're just oblivious to it. The people that are aware of it are the merchants downtown because of the rent rates and everything else, Lexington. But Lexington pays about $70,000 worth of Canoa dues. That's it.
So 12.5%.
12.5% of the total.
So who's the biggest five?
Anybody with big land.
Admin helps.
Offices.
Advent is the largest land.
Acreage.
But
Okay, well, we just,
Can you get that teed up for the board meeting so they can get some communication approved there? And get it moving?
Usually, I mean, they're keeping action items only at the board meeting and discussion items in the workshop, so it would technically go to the workshop in July.
Can it be discussed and executed at the board meeting?
That it can be, it's just not the direction that this board has gone this year.
Time is of the essence here.
I think a representative of the finance committee ought to speak.
Don't do that anymore.
You don't do that anymore?
I,
Wait a minute. Yeah, I mean, keep in mind,
No, I'll just do, we got the preliminary budget.
Yep.
And it's preliminary is an 18% increase, and that's before we've looked at it. I will go through it line by line 4 or 5 times.
there'll be a gas. And then
It'll be the biggest two pieces are these two pieces, and they represent this and this. This is why. And so I've stated here previously that I think canola should be eliminated. That's a whole other.
Don't introduce that.
No, I, no.
But it should
be.
I think you could write a note to the board and say that we talked about this and get them prepped or prepared to move quickly at that board meeting all the way through the process. And then Jim could talk about it from some detailed perspective.
Yeah.
If you prep them that this is coming now and it's time to Cooper get off the pot. If that's a technical term, you can use that. Just put it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put that in the email.
Well, because the residents will complain bitterly about another year of big dues increases.
We're gonna throw canola under the bus.
Kept a reasonable last couple of years, but. These kind of issues.
It probably won't change anything, but personally, I'll feel better that we.
Well, I mean- 10% is pretty much out of your control. With that, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, right, that's,
The nine, but I wouldn't be embarrassed by a 9% increase. It was 7.7 last year, what was it?
right in the environment we're in, economic.
Yeah.
Right.
9% coming this year, just with the reserve or whatever, I mean, that'd be.
Yeah.
No brainer.
Yep. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, we started talking. One question, I know in the $355,000 from last year that we now say should have come out of capital, not reserve. Did you move the money?
Yes.
You have, okay, that's what I thought based upon the numbers. So that's taken care of, that's all,
Yes.
okay. Perfect. Okay. So my biggest concern is again, that the board has already approved 600,000 of some project replacement projects, and if they stay on that rate, we're gonna, it's a $1.6 million spend for the year.
You should talk about that at the board meeting. We gotta impress upon them like we tried to last year. The run rate's important when we start to do the mulching, the extra mulching and everything else. Yeah.
And so the question I have from this is, can we actually afford to fix the 851 building after hearing all these things?
Yeah, we'll have enough in the capital fund to do that. Because that'll flow from this year to next year. I mean, as long as we're currently 144 homes and condos for sale and celebration, which is up a little bit because of the additions in Highland Village. And it's been pretty consistent as to 30 to 35 homes sold per month. As long as that stays, we'll be okay. And as long as we get more of the money out of the operating fund that should be in capital, then it'll be all right.
And the apartment fees, and stuff.
Yeah, because
That's why I worry, that's why I asked the question.
the 3 million, we should have enough. Because we did that forecast beginning of the year. So the splash pad and 851 are the two main projects this year. And that's it.
And we don't have a locked in number of what it's gonna cost us to do 850.
It's looking around 3 million, 3.2 with the fee.
We're still waiting for the final pricing. The board selected Click as their project manager, owner's rep. They selected DeAngelis Diamond firm as basically acting the role of VC. DeAngelis Diamond is going to taking the 100% drawings, beginning permitting and getting bids and basically best pricing from all of the subs that would be working on it, and that'll come to the board for approval. That'll be your final not to exceed number.
So, I mean, we expected to be closer to 3.5 or even more, so if we keep it that, it will be okay.
I worry about the way it's like, have they fully discovered? My own carbon used to say, my X-ray vision isn't any better than yours. When I open up a wall and see a problem, I don't know. Do we know every imaginable problem to repair the building so that when someone gives you a price estimate to renovate a very old building, there's a lot of issues.
Wasn't it not to exceed?
Yeah, that's the proposed agreement.
It'd be a little-
Not to exceed.
A lot of those inner walls are already ripped down.
Yeah, the metal studs are fine.
Yeah. I
We'll
think,
we'll have a firm price, so we're not gonna be exposed to that. If they discover something that's gonna be on their neck. So obviously, they're gonna be very conservative and bump it up over what they think it's.
Right.
But that way we have certainty. It cuts
So I could see it going to 4 million. If
Yeah, it cut away, it won't. But it could have been maybe, they give us 3.3, it maybe could have been 2.9. But they hedged and put it at 3.3 and some things didn't come up. And they maybe didn't give us the savings. Are they gonna, they'll have to document the actual cost? When they give us that not to exceed, there's something in the contract that says they have to show us the savings or the below? not to
Yeah, I
exceed?
believe that was discussed at the board meeting.
We don't have the.
We don't have the document yet. We have not
Okay,
entered into a contract with them. We have entered a pre-construction agreement that they can start permitting and they can go out on our behalf to select or to get bids.
Yeah.
And then once they have the bids and you have the not to exceed number, then we will enter into a contract. But before we enter into the contract, you got to do the community presentation and all that.
we should, I've only been involved in a few of these, but we should have audit rights. So we could ask for their billings and what they actually got, so we can be their secondary bookkeeper and see what the project accumulates to.
Yeah.
We gotta have audit rights in there. Otherwise, they just couldn't tell us. Oh. Trust but verify.
we could do it.
Okay, Jay, wrap this up, I think. We can, I don't know, can we get, the AR is gonna be how long before we can get that resolved? They gotta be 90, well, they're all, some of those are 90 days out. But it's gonna be another 30 to 45 days to try to get some of that collected probably.
And the maybe fees are due like since the beginning of the year. So there are more on story they've been past due for a while. Like they get the invoice of the, that's it. The residence is difficult, it's yeah, but yes. So I don't know about the rec fees. But the residents, like I imagine that once they get cut off, that pennies like the access to this, probably that'll help. But aside from that,
Yeah. So I'm guessing we might be able to get quickly $300,000-400,000 out of the AR to help with liquidity. So it comes to the T-bills and we've got one coming up in July for the capital fund. Do we not renew that? That's $680,000.
once from now,
And I'd renew the replacement, I think, but
placement, but.
we can't get to the replacement. Yeah, that's all restricted funds.
yeah, we wouldn't be able to
We
move.
can attach them, so we gotta go to the capital fund.
Yeah.
I'd say we're gonna have to liquidate that one project. You see, if we get the money faster, we can always then buy another one for
Yeah,
just the lower amount.
I know the splash pad is approved, right? So.
Yeah, it's moving. The stamp, they have the stamped engineer drawings and they'll be starting permitting end of this week.
Yeah, so I think I would hold off on next one on the capital fund.
Yeah.
That's the,
So you watch, that's not till July 10th. So we look at not probably renewing that. Like I said, if we get a bunch of money in from these receivables, we can buy them for your $100,000 as quickly against it. No cash. We better be conservative.
Well, there's some items, adjust depending on the timeline for the splash pad. We expect to have the project closed out October 1st around. So that would be needing that $600,000 available.
did you get a schedule of payments, expected payments, timing?
Milestone.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, can you share that with us so we?
And do we officially close down the money market account?
Andrew made that comment, the truest money market. Yeah, we should be. That's money sitting there. He suggested we move that into the capital.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why not. Because then that could just be part of the T-bills. We're getting probably a little money market.
Isn't the truest 3.5%?
Yeah, yes.
T-bills are gonna be
Right
4.
around 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's rid of another account. I think we should push it out a bit. Right?
Oh, I would love to close accounts.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've been to the truest.
We said we were gonna do this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we talked.
Yeah,
So I think we can put that down.
getting things more efficient by reducing this.
I'll try to do the transfer myself.
Right,
And then if I have any issues,
we'll go there. We were at the bank last week and CCMC was still listed as some of the, it's crazy.
That's real.
It was still under SunTrust, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Just a couple of merges ago.
just a couple mergers ago. And I think Artisan Park still had the founder of Evergreen. Yes, yeah. Yeah, matter of fact, I think it's time to come back down.
Okay, just going through the agenda here, so the 26 budget plan we'll review and put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
My question for the, like general events, are there any events if we're tight on budget, we will eliminate or cancel?
Well, that's why we'll get through it and kind of look and see and
So
see.
they're proposing not doing the winter festival next year and adjusting some of the events.
The special events committee spent, I think, 2.5 hours, this past month going through their budget for 2026, and they were able to provide some cost savings. They have an overall budget reduction.
Because I see that budget is 223,000, I mean. I guess it was even more this year.
Exactly.
Yeah, the proposed reduction. For events, it's a reduction of 38,000 and change, and for Parks and Rec, it's a proposed reduction of 11,000 and almost 11 we have.
And next year is the anniversary year as well, so it is. There were some things that may have been able to drop if it wasn't a 30th anniversary year as well. So all I'm saying, it looks promising for 2027 to continue on a downward trend.
And again, if they get some better contributions and things like that. So these are all things we got to look at and say, do we agree with? Through.
How are we gonna handle the budget review? Just individually and then just start shooting?
I was gonna see if you guys want to set up a secondary meeting and we can go line to
Sure.
line. That's
That'd be fine. But I have someone study this.
It's also, you guys all have it electronically as well as a budget narrative.
Just gotta make sure I can
Open
get
it.
into my email again. I don't know what happened.
So,
But
The budget narrative is quite comprehensive.
what?
Budget narrative, there's a Word document.
Where's that?
Yeah, it's quite.
Can I get in my regular email?
Changes. Provides a lot of justifications on big.
I just, not to be insensitive, but I just think that if we're talking about all these horrible financial matters, we need to cut back something. You can't cut back electricity or water. You can't fire the gardeners, right? You can change it, but you have to have them. So the only thing is these soft programs to be eliminated, right?
Lauren, when do we have to have this approved or
Board
submitted?
has to approve it no later than October, which means they need to propose it to the community in December or in September, sorry, which means we should probably have a full package by August for them.
So taking your draft narrative, I'm taking just the page with the years and the increase, and I'm emailing that to them,
Okay.
just so that.
So I guess-
Text.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you can send that whole document.
Yeah, but I'm trying to hone it in on one, a copy, of you, Jacob.
Do we want to take the month to look at this and then just talk about it in the next meeting and then to follow up, maybe have a meeting 2 weeks after the July meeting to go through it again if we want to, or we can set up a meeting in a few weeks.
I think it'd be beneficial to meet like the second week of July, week of the 7th.
That'd be okay.
Meeting time that week.
Oh.
I won't tell them the next week.
What about the week, the first?
First,
Do it on 4th of July.
Well, we all have to be here,
We'll be
so
here.
I'm out when you're out, Jim.
so what about the
The-
first or the second of July?
I'm good.
What, when?
The first or the second of July, it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday,
Oh, April.
Just over 2 weeks out from today. Meeting
or
for
even
reviews.
June 30th, if you wanted to do the Monday.
Or not any Monday, but I could do Tuesday or Wednesday.
Let's do July 1st. See if there's a place available.
Yeah, July first would be a better day.
Okay.
It's 5:30. Same.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, 5:30.
5:30 here.
We'll check room availability.
Check for-
and understanding
I can
preference.
do it on my own.
Actually, we have more space here than we do in Island Village.
Uh-huh.
No, it's fine.
And we're just too upscale to do a budget there. We would have high caliber taste as we're going through the budget, so we don't want to be in that environment.
Geez, I was gonna get you Scoops ice cream. No.
We can get it, bring it here, just put it in the cooler.
Yeah, no,
Are
no.
we expecting any money from the insurance companies for 851? Why do we have insurance? there?
Sue us for harassment probably before.
That's on the. Yeah, any updates or is it?
They wanna interview your representative under oath now to ask him about the claim that was submitted.
He wasn't even there, right?
He was not there. Well, he's the one who submitted the claim, but on your behalf, but no, he was not present.
Party.
It's a third party, yeah.
Where?
Ambulance chaser. No, he's not.
Oh,
an
oh,
ambulance chaser.
oh,
He's a private adjuster.
Right, Justin.
He's got a company, private adjuster, and he goes and tries to wring money out for, he takes 30%
oh, yeah, okay.
chaser.
That's right. Okay, 24 audit.
Yeah, so we haven't heard that. As I had submitted, they had requested regarding service areas, bound reconciliations, rural bound reconciliation that was submitted. They wanted a full audit on the 2024 undeposited funds that was provided. They wanted a breakdown of the deferred covenant fines for 2024 that was provided as well. And the information that they needed from Artisan Park was provided as well. I'll follow up. We got an email from them confirming that they received the information. We sent it over via email and Lauren made me able to open Dropbox. We were able to put all the documents there and give them access to it. So we're just waiting for them to come back with questions. I'm gonna follow up this week to see if they need anything else, but
It's the same audit firm as the last year.
Yeah.
So why is it so difficult to get it done?
The last one was way later.
You live in Artisan Park, don't you?
Yes.
Artisan Park caused a delay, I think, of 4 months.
Yeah.
What was that delay?
Not
More.
getting, not getting the financial information.
Yeah. We're not getting information from them.
But we got it this year.
yeah.
Oh, no, I'm blaming,
Yeah.
I'm thinking Parkview Townhouse Committee, you mean the clubhouse,
Yes.
the clubhouse financial.
So
That's a whole separate conversation.
I would ask you to just
John Wigan can work that out this year.
mention to them.
I need
that
to
the
get
Finance committee is curious.
My baseball after that.
What the, you know, draft date would be.
Yeah, I'll ask if they're working on the second draft. You guys got the first one or not?
I don't like the way they do accounting over there. Everything.
They
I,
sent the first draft to the board, I believe, end of April, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then we went over that draft, the notes that they had, and we questioned some of them. And they came back to us requesting this additional information.
The first draft of the audit for 2024
They submitted a report,
was
which,
sent to the board.
yes,
Why don't the finance committee get that before the board?
That's the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
and besides, some of us have way more skill than anybody on the board to review financial statements.
I wasn't gonna say that, I was being polite.
Okay, let's get the next draft and get it to the finance committee.
Right.
Because I didn't even got that draft. That draft got forwarded to me.
How did they get the board?
It went through the corporate auditing arm. So we have people in the back office at corporate that help coordinate with the auditors.
You're talking
Yeah.
about, and they still come off to the board?
Yeah,
They correct it for the future? So they don't do that again?
yes, I asked that to be changed.
Geez.
Because I didn't see it until it came into our Sarah mailbox and saw it, and it was assigned to me that it had gone to the whole board.
The financial acumen is here, not necessarily in the board. We sort it out, and then, okay, enough said.
It'll make it less painful.
Yeah.
For the board if we all look at it first.
Okay. Last thing I think is the Gallagher project. I think board discussed this at the workshop.
Yeah. We're suggesting 1,000 licenses at $12,500. And then we'll charge the residents that use them.
User pay.
User
What
pay.
is this?
The digital access. So instead of having to use your Crow issued card,
You
you
mean
can
this
use your
thing?
phone.
Yeah.
Instead of that, you can use your phone. It's a software license that allows you to buzz in with your phone.
Huh, and how
We're gonna
much
pass
like?
that, we're gonna pass that cost on to the residents.
Yeah.
As a extra service.
Yeah.
Have we haven't suggested a price we only kicked around the base price of the license, but there is some management that's gotta take place.
Yeah, I mean, what you discussed at your workshop was just passing on the cost of the license to the resident. There was no discussion about any management time. I mean, your current cards are what, $7.50 a card, and we charge 10 for replacements? I'm not suggesting.
We're looking for guidance on.
Yeah, so I mean, we can suggest a number. I mean, it is gonna, every time you get a new phone, we're gonna have to reissue the credentials. It's gonna be a little bit more labor intensive.
If we look at the budget, I would say we charge whatever we're gonna have to pay.
Yeah, he's saying that, but maybe additional cost to cover the time that the staff takes.
$12.50. If we bought
So $15 instead of $12.50.
of them, it would have brought the cost down.
Also helps if we need to buy more without it just changing.
So
I was-
that initial purchase would be out of the capital. Wow. Does this committee want to weigh in on that? Because it's not a funded expenditure. You want
As long as we know that we are gonna get this money back,
that operating?
it should be operating. And when we purchase them, we can spread that
You
out
can amortize it out.
5 months for something to see and then if we sell them all in 2 months, it all evens out.
My only question is, right, given how many dinosaurs live in Celebration that still want a paper bill mailed to them, forget about the law for a second and wait for the bill before they even pay it, when I've said to friends that once the committee and the board vote, the bill for, using Artisan Park, Grover, Parkview Townhome is locked for the whole year. And there's no surprise about any of the bills unless you got a fifth bill, which is a special assessment, which would be discussion before we had any of that. So what are you waiting for to pay it, right? So when I have those conversations with friends who sound like dinosaurs to me,
Yeah.
how many people are gonna want this card?
That's why they went with the lowest amount, 1,000.
Yeah.
Because out of 14,000 residents, yeah. they
So
need-
there were 7,000 card swipes and 7,000 users swiped their card once in 6 months. 4,442 swiped more than once per month. 1,500 swiped more than once a week. We have 123 residents that swipe more than once a day. And this was during the high season. This was November, so the snowbirds were here when this survey was done. We pulled it right out of the logs from Gallagher. Friend, Mr. Hull, helped make this report. So We have 4,000 people using the card once a month.
And that means swiping into a pool or a
Any-
thrower,
That is,
you know,
yeah.
park here.
Gym, park, whatever, dog park. There were that many swipes, or that many unique users during that period.
So I
Never,
noticed,
never swiped my card, ever. Never. Showed it to get it to an event, but never swiped it. Ever.
Occasionally going to the Arts and Park Club. I have to swipe it. I bring one, my wife or I bring a card. I would pay for it because I like technology, but,
It's a nice convenience factor. I've been living with it for about 6 months. It's great.
yeah, you know, I find it interesting that, I'm wondering about the apartments. Do they get the same card that we do? Because I've noticed there are some people who come to the fitness center and use their phones to get in. And I can't believe there are people that actually have this.
Not just slid in the back. I wonder if they're phone.
They're probably, my daughter does that. She puts it inside her case.
Okay.
Especially at the gym, they don't want to carry things.
Okay, so the board is gonna.
Talked about it in the workshop.
It's an action item next week.
Okay.
Then we can close that door for now.
Yeah.
so how many you buying?
1,000.
1,000, oh, so, and you're paying more per card because
Yes.
of the
Lower
issue you
quantity.
now clarified for me, how many actual living dinosaurs we have in celebration.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because parents might want to get it for their kids. It's one less thing for their kid to lose.
Interesting to see.
Yeah, in 5 years, it might be the norm where everything's digital. We're not dealing with cards anymore.
Right.
Maybe. And AI will take over by that point. So,
Okay, anybody else have any more comments?
One last thing. Jacob, you said that the splash pad gonna be paid or done in October?
No.
Is that 3 payments or what's the payment schedule on the contract?
It was just emailed out to all of you while we've been in this meeting. It's-
Contract for the splash pad?
No, payment schedule, so
By milestones.
we could do.
20% upfront payment. Plus the 10,500 for the engineered plans. Then a 25% payment after excavation, compaction, installation of base footings, nozzle housings. We're looking at that probably around end of July, beginning of August. 15% payment due after piping installation, drain installation, pressure test with approved inspections, end of August-ish. 15% payment, after,
Hey, Lauren, never remember this. Could you just,
it was emailed,
can someone summarize it
She emailed.
I emailed it to you.
by month?
Yeah, it's in an Excel spreadsheet for you.
You read all the detail. Can you just read the summary? How much in August or whatever, or July? How much total?
July, 128,000, August, 77,000, and another in the beginning-ish. Another 77,000 at the end of August, mid-September, another $77,000 in September, October, and the final 51,000 in October.
Yeah, the capital fund is generating about $200,000 a month. So we'll be, that alone, just that cash flow into the capital fund will cover the,
And then you have about
Payment.
$20,000 for the electrical and plumbing that'll come out of capital probably in the next month as well.
but we probably won't do that treasury note. So we'll have more liquidity there.
Yeah.
But that cash flow will cover the payments, the stream and everything, I
I
think.
like what you said earlier, Mike, that we could always renew treasury bill once we see we got some money to
Exactly.
lock up.
Just lose a little teeny bit of interest. from-
Okay, but we can't say to them, I can't pay because we can't sell a
You don't
TV.
want to be over- you don't want to be overdrawn.
Nice.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Hey, Ray. Osceola County is down to one home sale and they have a record.
May.
Hey, Jacob, can you kill the?
Yeah.